What's up, y'all? We are back with our Colorado Rockies franchise on Out of the Park Baseball 22. We are at the first year player draft for the 2025 season. We are 29 and 60, 24 and a half games out of the NL West, and a little better, 19 and a half games out of the wild card race. So maybe still have a chance there. Who's to say? I wanted to stop here because it is the first year player draft, but I also want to start the episode here because I did make a pretty substantial trade when I was not recording. So I wanted to kind of go through that first, and then we'll go through the comments and stuff. So if we go to the good old trade log that we've become so accustomed to seeing in this series, we made we made a couple trades. The bigger one is with the San Francisco Giants. And in this trade, we got the number one prospect in all of baseball, Cameron Burford, along with the number 38 prospect at the time, Cameron O'Brien, J.P. Crawford, and Tony Gonsolin in return for Jack Leiter, Rogelio Delgado, Reynaldo Lizarra, and Edwin Mercedes. So the big pieces for us, obviously, that we gave up were Jack Leiter and Rogelio Delgado. Delgado, of course, was our draft pick. If we go to his history page, we took him with the first overall pick in the 2022 first-year player draft. We took him because we thought he was going to be an anchor for our rotation for years to come. You see that we gave him a pretty substantial signing bonus of $7 million. It just didn't work out, unfortunately, for him here in Colorado. You can see that, I mean, in his little cup of coffee stint in 2024, he did put together a pretty solid couple of starts. He did come out of the bullpen for a couple of those, but it's just looking at how my scout viewed him and just how he was progressing, I really didn't trust that he was going to turn out to be like we thought he would. A ground ball pitcher with 99 to 100 mile per hour velocity. I really thought that would have worked out, especially, he has high loyalty, high work ethic. He is outspoken. But it just didn't seem like he was going to develop into the guy that I thought he would. And we actually traded him at a pretty good time. I say that kind of selfishly. It's not good for him. But, of course, you guys remember that he was diagnosed with a partially torn labrum in spring training this season. So he's going to miss 4 months. And then he was on his rehab assignment when I decided to trade him. You see, he made one start there in Albuquerque. He went 4 1/3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. I decided to trade him at the time. And unfortunately, he made a couple starts with the Giants. You can see he, in 2 starts, 6 2/3 innings, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, ERA of 9.45. And unfortunately for him, he ended up suffering a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament, so UCL. So he's going to be out for another 10 months. So now not only is he fragile, but that's just a really tough injury to come back from after he's already trying to come back from a torn labrum. So that was it. Just as I said, selfishly, I'm happy because we got out of that before he got injured and he wouldn't have had any value. But I do feel bad because I thought this guy was going to be really, really good, and it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately. We also did trade Jack Leiter. Of course, this was the first ever draft pick that we made here in this series. I thought he was going to be really good, and his ratings would indicate that he should be a pretty solid pitcher. With us, it was kind of a slog. A 4.51 ERA is not too, or FIP, excuse me, isn't too bad. And in fact, if we go to his pitching splits, you can see that I don't know, it's just, even on the road, he was struggling a little bit. The 3.94 FIP wasn't too bad, but I'd kind of like these guys to be a little better on the road than what he was. And I didn't want him to be the reason why we couldn't get this deal done. So even though I really wanted it to work out with him in Colorado, I wanted him to be here for a long time too, just because he was our first ever draft pick. It seemed like a good time to trade him while he still had some type of value. It seems like he's getting it together in San Francisco. I know some of you might be wondering, why would you trade him to a team that you're going to see a lot as an interdivision rival? And I get that, but this was a trade I felt that we had to make, so I didn't want that to kind of mess us up. If Leiter gets it together at San Francisco, good for him. I hope he succeeds, but I didn't want him to be the reason we didn't get this guy, Cameron Burford, who is the number one prospect in baseball. The updated list just came out, and he's still the number one prospect in baseball. A ground ball pitcher who sits 96 to 98, 80 great potential in both OSA and the head scout. Really good stuff, really good movement, really good control, and then 4 really good pitches, and a sinker, a cutter, a slider, and a changeup. OSA agrees with that too. So I am really excited for this guy. You can see that he's made a few starts right now for our high A team. He's 24 years old, so we're going to try to get him up to double A here pretty soon, as long as he just gets it together a little bit down in Spokane, but I guess up in Spokane technically. But I wanted to get this guy because I think, as I said, my philosophy in the last episode, let's just try to grow the arms and buy the bats. So I want to just get as much pitching, young pitching as we can, and hopefully it works out. And we also got Cameron O'Brien. I didn't get this guy with the intention of him ever being a contributor for our team. He is a fly ball pitcher who sits 89 to 91. He's a finesse pitcher. So that's not really what I'm looking for, especially as the GM for Colorado. But the updated prospect rankings, he's up to number 26. So I got this guy more as, maybe we can use him as a trade chip at some point for a team that maybe likes to develop these kind of finesse pitchers. We don't. We kind of try to tend more towards the power pitchers, obviously. But I thought maybe, a number 26 ranked prospect, he'll have some value. So I wanted to get him in there too, just to build up the farm system. And then we also got J.P. Crawford, who's going to be our shortstop for probably the rest of the season. I got him just because he is good defensively, and I figured he's only on a 1-year deal at this point, so it just made sense to kind of get him. And then we got Tony Gonsolin, who we can throw into the pitching staff as well. So that was the trade that we made. We also made a smaller trade. We traded Rowdy Tellez and Ryan Speciak to the New York Yankees, and we got Manuel Margot, who is only signed through the rest of this year. I wanted to get him because he was a little better defensively than Brett Phillips. And we got Jim Epps. This is really more the reason I made the trade. It seemed like Jim Epps could be a pretty solid piece. Maybe throw him in a trade package, or maybe he could be a bench guy at some point. He does have low loyalty, high greed, but he also has high intelligence. He was having a really good year at Somerset for the Yankees at their AA team. He's 24 years old. He's not in the top prospect lists or anything, but I thought that he could be a pretty good guy to have just in the system. So he was the main reason I made that trade. And then I figured, why not? We'll get Manuel Margot. He'll be our new center fielder. So he's in there. J.P. Crawford's in there. Our lineup is really lefty heavy. By the way, I also made I've been checking the waiver wire more often than I was before, and Luis Garcia was actually on waivers. This is a guy that was, one of the better prospects for the Washington Nationals, and he ended up on the waiver wire, so I figured I'd claim him. You see that I claimed him on June 7th, and he's played 29 games with us. He started 25 of them. He's done pretty well, an 845 OPS of 120 WRC+. plus. He's been close to a one-win player. So he's been pretty good for us so far. You can see, take a look at his contract. It's pretty good. I couldn't think of the word that I wanted to say, so we're just gonna go with good. $3 million this year, 5.5 next season, $7 million in 2027. Then it gets up a little bit. It is backloaded, but I figured he's only 25 years old, so this kind of seemed like I know I said I wanted to kind of cut money, but for a guy like this, I figured it was kind of worth the investment because he is only 25. So he's been our leadoff hitter for most of the season since we've gotten him. Defensively, I would have liked to have seen him do a little better. He has a negative zone rating right now, but at second base. But still, I can't be too upset. The fact that this guy ended up on waivers, I'm not going to complain. So if we take a look now at the minor league system rankings, we are now the top farm system in all of Major League Baseball. We have leapfrogged the Pirates, and you see most of that just because of the guys that we've gotten so far this season. So if we go to the pipeline and then we just look at our team in particular, we have Cameron Burford, who's the number one prospect in all of baseball. Danny Chacon is technically still considered a prospect. He won't be at the end of the season, but he has kind of gotten a little worse as the season's gone on, but I kind of expect that, just some growing pains. So he's the number 12 ranked prospect in all of baseball. Jenderson Zapata has jumped up to 17. Danny Rodriguez has jumped up to 24. Derek Curiel is now the 25th ranked prospect in all of baseball, and Cameron O'Brien is the 28th ranked prospect in all of baseball. So we have 6 of the top 30 prospects in baseball, which is nice. So as I said, I just wanted to get as much young pitching into the organization as possible. If even 2 of these guys work out, that makes my life a lot easier, especially because we do have Kumar Rocker. So we don't need all these guys to work out, but we just needed to infuse a lot of young talent in the farm system, I felt like, and I think we were able to do that. We also have, just as a reminder, Brian Flanoy, who seems like he could be pretty good. He's still kind of developing. He is right now in high A at 22 years old. He's only made 6 appearances so far, but we'll see if he does better this season as it goes on. So with that being said, that's about all I think we're going to do trade-wise. I did call up Grant Levine to be our first baseman for the rest of the season just because he has power, and He has not done too well so far, but it's fine. We're 29 and 60. We're going to lose a lot of games this year. I'm not too concerned about winning at this point. If you take a look at the team chemistry, it's not great. It's content, but, we'll see. I said we're not going to make any more trades. I really would have liked to have traded Devers, just really blow all this up and restart, but he does not want to waive his no trade clause. So that was a bad issue on my part. That was one of those things where I saw that it really helped seal the deal when it came to contracts, but it was unfortunate that Devers did not want to waive it. I kind of figured he would because the team is really underperforming, but maybe he just likes putting up big numbers in Colorado. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to waive it. I don't know, but that's fine. He'll give us, some type of good offensive production. Jorge Soler, I don't think it's worth trading. I don't really know if there's anything out here. Maybe we'll take a look at Soler, a deal, but that'd probably be the last one because I'm not going to trade Chacon at this point, and then the pitchers really don't have a lot of value. So that is that. So let's get into the first-year player draft. Oh, before that, let me read some of the comments. I completely apologize. Would have forgotten to do that. So we'll start here. Before training for guys who are coming off big injuries, I recommend getting an updated scouting report. That's always a good idea. I noticed Rocker has very low scouting accuracy, and if you click on his menu and request a scouting report, you can get that up to high or very high just by simulating a day or two. It's not the end-all be-all, but it could be helpful in figuring out if guys are going to fall off a cliff or not. Loving the series and love the moves. Thank you. Yeah, that's always a good thing to do. It's something I didn't do this time around, but it is a good habit to get into just to see what your scout seems to think. So just get that scouting accuracy as high as possible before you make a move for that person. I like the move for Kumar a lot. Pretty high risk with the injury, but like you said, he's young and should be cheap on arbitration. At this point, you're not expecting to win this year, so him being out doesn't matter. Exactly. I love the moves you did. Hopefully a few of the guys you opened up slots for can take advantage of the opportunity and show they could be a piece of your contending team. That would be nice as well, certainly. And then more comments here. A good tip for hitter-friendly parks like Coors is looking for high movement, power, ground ball type pitchers combined with an above-average middle infield defense. If you do that, I don't think you need to put as much emphasis on rangy outfielders, except for center field, of course, and focus on finding power bat for those corner spots, both for the infield and the outfield. Yeah, that's going to be the goal. Our offense right now, outside of Devers, and I guess you could throw Luis Garcia in there, is not very good. So that's going to be the goal. We have a lot of young pitchers now in the system. Now we have to try to find some young bats. I think you have the right philosophy right now, trying to acquire as much young pitching talent as possible and hope a few of them work out. Since hitters usually experience higher offensive numbers when coming to Colorado, you can always find lineup pieces in free agency or in trade. I think building the farm up as much as possible during the next few months should definitely be the goal, and then hoping you get some solid core pieces to join the major league team, and then you will always have a solid farm to trade from as well. So that's what the assistant GMs of the YouTube community thought. You can see that we have the 18th overall pick in this draft. It's a shame. I wish we were a little higher just based on what we're trying to do, but we'll be high next year, certainly. So just one more thing before we get into this. If we go to the front office, you can see that we have cut a lot of money. I think we were $2 million over the budget coming into the season before we made all the trades, and now we have $27 million available for free agents. As I said, I do want to use some of the budget that I have to funnel into the scouting and development budgets. I think that would be a good idea. But that is something that we can do later on. So let's get into the draft. Same thing that I always do. So we will start the draft. Let's see who our scout thinks is the best player available. If we go up to here, so there's the starting pitcher, Chris Gray, a neutral power pitcher, sits 99 to 101. Seems like that, if nothing else, it seems like he could be a really, really good reliever. That changeup, normally when the grades are that low, it's rare for them to kind of develop that pitch to the best that they can be, but we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep tabs on Chris Gray. We'll see if he ends up being good. I imagine he's going to be the first overall pick, and look who it is. It's the San Francisco Giants, so they could really just replace Cameron Burford and get Chris Gray. So let's take a look here. Let's just auto draft for San Francisco. See if they do end up taking Chris Gray, and they do. So Chris Gray was the number 1 overall pick. So let's simulate to our pick at 18. And we have a couple of relief pitchers available, which is not too surprising. That's typically what tends to happen, especially later on in these draft classes. You'll have really good relief pitchers available. I'm not going to take a relief pitcher right now with my first overall pick. I'd like to kind of get something a little better. So let me go through the list here and see what we got. A lot of pitchers. All right, I think the guy we're going to go with here in the first round is yet another pitcher, B.J. Haynes. His nickname is Freefall, so I hope that's not a precursor to what he does in his professional baseball career. The way I see it, it's just so hard to find good left-handed starting pitching, I found. So the fact that this guy's available, it seems like he could maybe be pretty good. He's not a power pitcher or a ground ball pitcher, but he sits 94 to 96. He has 5 pitches. Hopefully he'll have 5 pitches to change up. I don't know if that's ever going to develop into anything. But he's only 19 years old. Seems like he could have pretty solid stuff. The movement and control is appealing to me. I said I'm trying to probably look for pitchers with high movement and control ratings. I think that might be a good thing to try to do. So I think BJ Haynes might be the guy. You can see a solid teammate, high adaptability, low greed, poor competition level, but we'll take a chance here on BJ Haynes here. He wants $4.3 million. That's the recommended slot. So that's fine. We're fine doing that here towards the end of the first round. So we're going to draft BJ Haynes. If one of these relievers is available in the second round, I might try to take a chance at them. So we'll see. And both of them still are. So this might be a time, as I said, I always like to just try to, I think getting relief pitchers in these drafts is always a good way to go. So Victor Molina is a lefty, so that's kind of appealing. Ground ball power pitcher. He only wants $700,000. He's a college junior, so that might be the move that we make. Although this guy only wants $50,000. So, I mean, we do have a couple of good relief arms. We have Flanoy. We have Eric Campbell. So we're going to add Victor Molina to that group as well. So we're going to draft him. And Bushnell is gone. So they were both going to be gone anyway after this round. So I'm glad we at least got one of them. So now let's take a look and see who is available. A couple of relief pitchers at the top, 4 relief pitchers at the top. And then we just get to a bunch of 50s and 45s. So would like to kind of see if there's any good batters available. So I think I found a pretty good batter that I'm going to take here in round number 3. He's listed as the starting pitcher. You'll recall all the way back in the first draft episode, I said, always be sure just to go into the potential ratings because sometimes you'll see pitchers that are actually good at batting or vice versa. And Glenn Bainan out of North Carolina State University kind of meets that. Now you can see that even as a power pitcher, he sits 99 to 101, so he could conceivably be a pretty solid pitcher for us, but I'm going to use him more as a batter because the 65 potential contact, 55 potential gap power and regular power, 70 grade avoid strikeouts, 80 grade running speed. He has good range. This could turn out to be a pretty good guy. So we're going to take Bainan here at round number 3 and convert him probably to a corner outfielder because we already have Curiel at center field. So we're going to go with Bainan. So draft the player. And we're going to do the same thing here in round number 4. We're going to take another pitcher who I think would be a pretty good bat. He has 60 potential great contact, 65 potential gap power, 55 potential eye, really good speed. He's probably a guy that we'd want to put, I don't know what his position would be, but we're going to take him anyway because it seems like he could be, once again, the guy that could conceivably maybe be a good pitcher for us, but we're going to use him as a batter. So we're going to take Chad Kirstein here at round number 4. All right, in the 5th round, we're going to go with Jake Carrillo, an 18-year-old left fielder. He should be able to stick at a corner outfield spot in major leagues if he gets there. Contact might be kind of an issue, but it seems like he'll be able to avoid strikeouts. Really solid power, 65 grade power potential, solid gap power. Not really a lot of speed. He's more just a masher, but we're going to take a chance on him. Maybe he'll be able to play well at Coors if he makes it that far in his professional baseball career. Only wants $650,000, which I'm fine giving to him. And round number 5 is now moved to round number 6. I think we're going to go with another relief pitcher, Pete Putman. He went to the University of Indianapolis. He put up solid numbers there in 2 years, 2024 and 2025. He is an over-the-top power pitcher. He sits 96 to 98, low greed. I don't really know if this guy's going to turn out to be anything, but there's not really too many guys available at this point that I would want to take. So we're going to go with Pete Putman here in round number 6. In round number 7, I'm liking Danny LeBan, an 18-year-old shortstop. Offensively, I don't know if he's ever going to be even league average, but defensively, there's some reasons to be optimistic. High loyalty, high work ethic, which is always nice to see, especially have an 18-year-old. So we're going to go with Danny LeBan, born in 2007. Oh my goodness, that makes me feel old. Round number 8, I like this Zach Head guy. He's 21 years old. Offensively, it seems like he could do some stuff with the bat, really good speed. Defensively, he wouldn't stick at center field at the major league level, especially not in Coors Field, but it seems like he could be pretty solid just as a bench piece. Anyone watching him loves the way he competes. High adaptability, high work ethic, low intelligence, which is a little concerning, but I'm not going to be too picky here in round number 8, so we're going to go with Zach Head as our 8th round pick. Round number 9, we'll take a chance on another young pitcher in Steve Caudle. Movement is probably going to be his biggest limiting factor, but he has 5 pitches that he throws. 4 of them he throws pretty well. He's a ground ball pitcher, so we'll see maybe if our pitching coaches can kind of get him to where he needs to be. He's only 18, so maybe he ends up being something that we're not expecting. Seen as fearless and durable, an organizational favor in that regard. High leader, high intelligence. 9th round, he's one of the best guys left on our board, so we'll take a chance on him. And then that leads us to round number 10, the last one that I will show here in the video. We'll probably go with John LaPolice here in the 10th round out of Florida State University. His numbers there were okay, not super great, but defensively, it seems like he could maybe have some value to us. Speed-wise, seems like he could maybe have some value. So last pick I'm going to show here is John LaPolice. So I'm going to go through the rest of the draft here. I'm going to get all these guys signed, and then we can go from there. All right, it is July 15th. We're just waiting on a few other people to accept our offers. I have just gone through and cleaned out all of my minor league teams here. So now we all have a good amount of players. Have most of the guys down here that we need. We have Glenn Bain, and I have him set to be a left fielder. We've switched Jake Carrella's position to a right field, and in his first few games, seems like he's doing pretty well, so that's good. But other than that, we're just waiting on the other 3 guys. In terms of the all-star rosters, we can go take a look at that. I have to imagine that Devers got in as the third baseman, and he did. That was probably our only guy, and it was. So here is the National League roster for the All-Star game, which is today. Bauer, Bieber, Ferguson, again, Gonzalez, who is still, wow, he is still around. Good. No, he's only 33. Okay, well, Jose Gray, I thought he was like way older than that. Spencer Howard, Ty Madden, Robbie Ray, Ryan Weathers, Robinson Ortiz, Thomas Zapucki, Matt Cronin, Joey Bart, JT Realmuto, Gary Sanchez, Freddie Freeman, Keston Hiura, Ha-Sung Kim, Gavin Lux, Brian Anderson, Bregman, Devers, Tatis, Watson, Peterson, Soto, Yelich, Bellinger, Pache, Acuna, Betts, Mazzara, and Turner. And then in the American League, we have Chris Archer, Corbin Burns, Castillo, Giolito, Lacey, Manning, Merriweather, Pearson, Bubic, Dominguez, Lang, Ryan, Bazardo, Sims. That's the pitching staff. In terms of the hitters, we have Perez, Raleigh, Rutschman, Guerrero, Jones, Smith, Jimenez, Andujar, Ty France, Franco, Moncada, Lewis, Lindor, Blade, Jimenez, Buxton, Marsh, Trout, Green, Kelnick, Larnach, and Rodriguez. So there are your 2025 Major League Baseball All-Stars. In terms of the prospects, we probably got at least one. We got Cameron Burford, we got Cameron O'Brien, we got Danny Rodriguez, we got Brian Flournoy, and we got Derek Curria. Wow, a lot of prospect All-Star selections, which is good to see. So that is that. I'm going to simulate up here just a little bit longer, make sure we get these guys under contract, get them where they need to be, and then we can go from there. All right, it is July 21st. We just finished up our first series out of the All-Star break. We won 2-3 against the Pirates, but we got everybody where they need to go. If we take a look here at our transaction screen, we have BJ Haynes in the starting rotation for our rookie league team. We're going to call up Eric Campbell here pretty soon. In fact, we could probably... I'm going to wait just a second on that. We still have... we put Kirstein at first base. I thought that would probably be his best position. We have Zach Head there out in center field along with John LaPolice. We have Glenn Bain in. I think Carrillo got injured. That's why he's not there anymore, but great start for him. But unfortunately, that's just how things go. But we have everybody where they need to be. We're not going to make any more trades, I don't think. So the next episode will probably just be the start of the offseason, maybe the full offseason, just because I'm going to end up simulating through the rest of this season. So I'll let y'all know what our final record was, of course. But I looked at, and there weren't really any good offers for Soler, so we're just going to keep him around for the rest of the season, let him build up his value for free agency. I'm not going to trade Chacon, and then none of these other guys really have any trade value. So we're just going to let this season roll. We're going to just see how bad we really are, cross our fingers that we don't get fired. I don't think we're going to get fired. If we take a look at our owner, he's currently in a good mood with us. So, I mean, this season's obviously not what he expected, but hopefully we can still kind of see this thing through until this team becomes good again, and hopefully he doesn't fire us prematurely. But that'll be that. So I want to thank you all for watching this episode. I'll catch you guys again next time.